Wait a minute. For the record, we're starting a little late. I think it's about 2:04. But welcome all. We have full attendance today. Thank you all for being here. We do have the approval of the agenda. I would like to suggest an amendment after the approval of the agenda. Ginny has passed out Resolution 33, which recognizes Rob's service. So with that amendment, I would ask for a motion to approve. Moved by Chuck. Supported by Amma. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say nay. The agenda is approved. Erica's not here.
She is on her way.
Okay. Our new board member will be joining us. Erica will soon be here. But I think we should go ahead now with RTA resolution number 33, thanking Rob Luce and expressing appreciation for his service. Is there a motion to approve? Chuck again? Support. And support by all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
And opposed say nay. We happily approve by unanimous vote the resolution thanking Rob Luce. Next on the agenda is the approval of the March 15th, 2018 meeting summary, which we did defer to this meeting. Ginny did listen to the tapes, and the minutes do reflect the conversation as recorded. Is there a motion to approve the March 15th minutes? Chuck? Yes. And John supports. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say nay. The March 15th meeting summary is approved. Next before us is the April 19th meeting summary. Are there any additions or corrections? Amma?
No, I was just going to move them.
Move to approve. And Don supports. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say nay. The April 19th meeting summary is approved. I do not have cards. Jenny, do you have cards requesting public comment?
No, there was some basket.
Okay, we do have a couple of members of the public requesting time for comment. Jim Cashett is first.
Good afternoon, board members. Jim Cash. I live in Tillsonburg, Ontario, Canada. Ask and you shall receive. A promise from President Trump to build a new Sulak bakery, but no plans to build a 100% federally funded regional multimodal transit hub at the Michigan State Fairgrounds. And the President's offer to use his development expertise to develop the fairgrounds into a revenue-generating property for the RTA. Why? Because no one from the RTA asked him, as I suggested at the last board meeting. But not to worry. In yesterday's Detroit News, there was an article about the Michigan State Fairgrounds and concern of the residents about what to do with it. If I was a public official, appointed or elected, or had anything to do with this Michigan State Fairground transfer to private individuals and or selling it to the city of Detroit for $7 million, I would be worried too. Anyway, not to worry about that. You should worry about that, but don't worry about this. You already have a federal transportation hub center at the Michigan State Fairgrounds. It's called the Hertel Coliseum. Okay? It's right there, 60,000 square feet of available space immediately to be used for a regional multimodal transit hub. There's a side entrance on Ralston Avenue. All you gotta do is run the buses up Woodward and down 8 Mile, down Ralston, and you've got it. I think the kids that visit Joe Dumar's basketball court would be very happy to have transportation, and Joe would probably too. You could have a Coliseum cafeteria with all kinds of food vendors from all kinds of different nationalities offering their wares. And this is what private business people used to do for the people, okay? Picture right there of J.L. Hudson in 1905 donating 135 acres of land to the public for use as a fairgrounds. But here in Detroit now, in southeast Michigan, we have business leaders screaming for a regional transportation system and screaming for the taxpayers to fund it so that they could use it for their interest, but none of them offering anything for the people. And that is why your millage will fail again, okay? Try doing something for the people. Try doing the right thing. Try asking the right questions of Governor Snyder. And what is he doing? And why do the residents of the city of Detroit have to pay $7 million for a fairgrounds property when the people up in the UP got theirs for $1? It doesn't make any sense. And it won't make any sense to the people when you go before them asking for their money and not giving them what they truly deserve. An honest effort on your parts to build a regional transportation system.
Thank you, Jim. Derek Douglas Holloway from Detroit.
Good afternoon to all of you. Good afternoon to my fellow public. This day is also a very special day considering I also caught the bus here to pretty much show how important it is for each of you and the decisions that you make and how much it will affect the entire city of Metro Detroit. Each decision you make from today and this day forward will affect how people get to work, how people get home, and how people get to their doctors. I also have another place to get to today, which is called Community Input for DDOT. So I'm very hoping that each of you, when the next person steps up, take each and everything that these people say as important as it is to those who also pay your salaries as well. It is also very important that these people get to where they need to go. If they don't, the rest of you will also show by your actions how much you truly care about the Metro Detroit area. I yield the balance of my time.
Thank you, Derek. Finally, Charlie Andrews of Detroit is here to support the 2018 transit.
Sorry, I meant to print this out ahead of time. Didn't print that far ahead. Hi, my name is Charlie Andrews, and I'm a software engineer at Google, working in Ann Arbor, living in Detroit, and raised in Macomb County. I worked for Google in Chicago for 3 years, and am stunned by the number of employees there who were raised in Southeast Michigan, but refused to return. Most cite an aversion to driving or a lack of interest in urban centers as their primary reasons. My sister, who's working towards her PhD in statistics at Harvard, has echoed both of these sentiments and told my family that she's unlikely to return after graduation. The cost of investing in transit is acute and obvious. An additional 1.5 mil property tax is significant for many homeowners, and I respect that. The problem is that the effects of not investing are even more significant, but much more subtle. Our decision with regards to support public transit sends a strong signal about how we prioritize quality of life and economic mobility in Southeast Michigan. Our actions continue to drive away some of the most idealistic and ambitious to metros like Portland or Boston, which consistently live up to these principles. I appreciate the tough situation that Macomb and Oakland County board members are in. Many of your constituents have a hard time picturing how public transit will figure into your constituents' lives. I urge you, though, to consider two things. First, that there's a strong selection bias at work. People who already understand the benefits of public transit are much more likely to seek residence in Ann Arbor than Oakland County, or even more likely to just leave the state altogether. By improving public transit, you broaden the appeal of your county to a new demographics of residents and workers. Stronger support for public transit will follow investment in it. Second, I know from my own experience growing up in Macomb County that many folks there complain loud and often about the very situations that public transit helps most with. How many times have you heard friends complain about airport parking, getting out of the lot at a Tigers game, or getting to work downtown? It's not that public transit isn't needed, it's that we've gone an entire generation without it and forgotten what problems it even solves in the first place. I'll close with 3 brief requests. First, that we put this public transit proposal on the ballot in 2018. We can't afford to defer this investment any longer. Second, that in the lead up to this vote, the RTA does a much better job of marketing the ballot measure to help people understand what they're getting. Most friends I spoke to in 2016 didn't see a single ad or piece of marketing material and didn't understand how this was any different than SMART, which they already didn't use. Third, that the ballot measure in 2018 be modified to include full bus rapid transit along at least a few of the most critical routes. Among my friends in all counties, these were the most popular part of the 2016 millage proposal, and I was incredibly disappointed to see them absent from this year's proposal. Thank you, and have a good afternoon.
Thank you. That completes our public comment. Thank you for those who came to speak with us today. We now move to the reports of standing committees. First up is the Executive and Policy Committee, but before moving to our work of the day, I do want to welcome Erica Robertson, our newest board member appointed by Warren Evans in the past month. Erica currently serves as Deputy Director of the Detroit Children's Fund and will be a welcome addition to our board. Erica, we have handed out our updated committee list, but we look forward to you replacing Rob on the Planning and Service Coordination Committee.
Sounds good. Thank you.
Thank you. Would you have any welcoming thoughts?
I just want to say, I am excited to be here. I'm excited to be a part of I'm excited to be a part of the conversation. I think this is a very critical issue for our counties, and just really interested to learn more and be part of it. And I just want to acknowledge, I see one friendly face, Alma. And it's interesting because I interned for Alma in 1999 when I was in Michigan. So it's good to see you. And a lot of the work that we did together shaped how I think today. So yeah, it's nice.
Thank you, Erica. Now to the work of today's Executive and Policy Committee. First up is resolution number 32, a resolution which would place us in opposition as a board to House Bill 5870, the legislation introduced by Representative Yerrick, giving municipalities the authority to opt out of any regional transit master plan. The committee did approve for recommendation to the board on a 4-to-1 vote the resolution. At our committee meeting, there was a request that we have copies of Matt Webb's testimony to the House Tax Policy Committee, which has held now 2 hearings on 5870. You do have that testimony. You will note that Rob did state that the board had not taken a formal position on 5870, but I think as you read his testimony, you'll see that he gave great background on our work, our aspirations, and our willingness to continue conversations with the legislature about potential amendments to our authorizing act, but did state the concerns with the opt-out bill. As I reported to the Executive and Policy Committee, there was significant opposition, I think to the surprise of the committee, to House Bill 5870. Our Dusty Fancher, our lobbyist in Lansing, reported that the Detroit Regional Chamber, Rock Ventures, DTE Energy, MDOT, TRUE, the Michigan Public Transit Association, the Michigan Environmental Council, Michigan Municipal League, the City of Detroit, Wayne County, Henry Ford Health System, Ascension Health System, Beaumont Health System, the Michigan Hospital Association, all either testified or gave cards in opposition to House Bill 5870. There were township representatives from Oakland County and the County of Oakland who expressed support for the bill, and RTA was represented but didn't take a formal position. This resolution would have us take a formal position of opposition to 5870, and given the position of opposition by our many supporters, I think it's appropriate we take this up. So with that, I would welcome a motion and support, and then we can have discussion. Freeman moves to support. Liz moves to, or Freeman moves the resolution. Liz supports. Is there any comment or questions about the? Yes, Chuck.
Well, except that my county's position is very clear on this. We made it clear from the very beginning that we support the concept of opt-ins and opt-outs, that communities can have choice whether or not to participate in it, in both the RTA and in the regional transit system. I noticed that there is, within the whereases, that there are interruptions in routes and services because of service discontinuity caused by opt-out communities in Wayne, Oakland County. I can't speak for Wayne, but I do know in Oakland there's only one pole, if you will, and that's Bluefield Hills City. That's 2 miles by 2 miles. It's in the north where I live, and you have a smart stop at 16 miles and another one at 18 miles. I don't believe the buses run right through there. I don't believe there's a whole lot of services being stopped on their way to Pontiac or on their way to Bluefield Township, which is to the north. We have communities that have opted out where there's sort of a line to the south. And we're very happy to entertain the idea that communities voluntarily join and are voluntarily part of the need to reduce footprint. But the idea that we have a 20-year millage and we're going to try to force communities that see no benefit, that don't want to be part of it, into this enterprise is not acceptable to us. And the reason why is they're going to vote no. If they can't get in, once they're in, they can't get out, they're not going to vote yes. I would rather see opt-ins and opt-outs with all the chaos that can cause in the administration. I understand that's tough, but SMART does it. We have automatic sunsets every 3 or 4 years, so SMART has to come back to communities to get their voluntary choice. You have community choice when you be part of it. Otherwise, we just go no, and we could have another no vote in 2018, and then what are we going to do? We'll come back for another bite of the apple in 2020. I have a real problem with this, and another problem is the board. I mean, Oakland's only part of the board, but we are not in favor of one size fits all. Everyone has to be in it, whether they see any benefit or not. And I'm really I'm going to vote no. And that's the reflection of the view of the leadership, or at least of my county. So.
Other comments? June?
Last time when we were meeting to talk about the financial portion, I made a note about opt-outs as a concept. Obviously, I see the rationale and the logic in terms of communities being able to have a choice where they want to put their public dollars. But the other side of the coin here is, when do we want to change? Are we satisfied with what we have today? When we look at how far we've come, or sometimes how far we haven't come, and we look at where we are, the reality is that until we are truly acting as a region, until we are truly acting unified, and until we are truly acting in what is in the best interest of the whole as much as possible, I think we're just going to be keeping stuck with where we have been. We're not going to be moving forward. We're going to keep falling behind. And as the young gentleman just came in and commented, that's the next generation. And that's what they want. And so if we're not going to provide that, where are we going to be? And so for that reason, I think that, at least for my county, the concept of opt-out is one that causes additional division. It creates holes in a logical plan. And so for that reason, I will be supporting this resolution proposing the hospital.
If there are no other comments,
Mr. Chair.
no, Freeman.
Yeah, and just to, I guess, and I make this comment respectfully, to extend on what June is saying, I think philosophically, if this was a country where we gave every taxpayer the option to opt in or opt out on how they spend their dollars, imagine where we would be with all of our blemishes and all of our potholes as a nation. Where would we be if every taxpayer had a chance to opt in or opt out on military spending, on roads and bridges spending, on just name the endless number of items that our lawmakers, our legislators, and our political leaders have to make decisions on taxpayer dollars of where they're spent. And we give every taxpayer the opportunity to opt in or opt out. I dare say we would be far from where we need to be as a country, and frankly where we should be as a country. And so I look at this on a broader philosophical level, as well as just the practical level of how economically important this mass transit plan represents to this region, and how we stack up to other regions around the country. And I don't know how many times we have to have a mirror put in front of us when you compare us to everywhere else in this country, and the progress that every other region has made, because they are years and years and years ahead of us on this very issue. And then to talk about the opt-in and the opt-out, I mean, again, I get the political expediency that that position represents. And I also get the, I guess, the lack of consequence politically that one gets to stand in when they say, you decide, I won't make that decision for you. But I do, again, look at this thing from sort of a broader governmental philosophical standpoint, as well as the very specific issue that we continue to grapple with here. And I think it's a wrong-headed position. And I think that if we want to move this region forward, political leadership is required to take strong positions, sometimes even in the face of some constituent opposition. We're never going to have 100% of support for anything, but this is necessary. And I'm not intending to have a debate on this, but just my position.
Chuck?
I would like to just respectfully put Mr. Hendricks's mind to rest. This the support for the concept of the opt-outs is not done through political expediency or the desire to avoid the choices from a philosophical premise that this is a good thing and that choice is a good thing and that this is the 21st century, one size fits all is kind of will be left back on the other side of the year 2000. And that really, well, one can disagree with principle, as I know it's done around this table, that it's not a matter of expediency or trying to stand away from opposition people. There are a lot of people who would oppose this position, but nonetheless, this is from a principled position. And we do have every taxpayer, gets to opt in or opt out. We call it elections and we vote. So we just had one less than 2 years ago, and they voted no. So I would like to have an election where everybody votes yes and we get a majority. And I think allowing an element of choice and volunteerism rather than all size fits all, people have to be in it whether they see value or not, makes it more likely for us to get a yes and have a system. If it's a good system, as I'm sure will be, people will be trying to get in as they try to be smart rather than having Swiss cheese on it. So once again, we don't have a Swiss cheese system in Oakland. It's one 2x2 community that, as I said, I sat in on the hearings with Bloomfield Hills City because I represented them for 10 years. So I kind of know the lay of the land. And they just said, look, we're a small town. We're 2 miles by 2 miles, and there's 7% of our budget just to join SMART. So that's why that hole is there, and that's the only one. At any rate, I just want you to put your mind at ease. This is not done through cynical expediency or anything. It's just we disagree on this.
And we do disagree, and I do believe it is political expediency.
Respectfully disagree.
Any other comments? Before we vote, I did not report. There have been 2 hearings. The House and Senate are expected to adjourn for the summer. I do not expect action on this bill, if at all, before the fall. It's been moved and supported that we adopt this resolution. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say nay.
Nay.
Ginny, I have heard the voices. It's a 7-2 vote in support. Thank you. Next, from the Executive Committee, are recommended changes in MDOT signature issues. And Matt, you should probably walk us through those.
Yeah, we have actually 2 motions that we need today. The first one is the Michigan Department of Transportation has designated signature authority recognition. Currently, that's the CEO, and then Freeman as the clerk of the board. This agreement would add the chief operating officer as well as a designated signature for master grant agreements. And so we have 2 of them active right now that we're requesting board approval to add by authority for the signatures.
The Executive Committee did amend the resolutions that we'll be looking at to strike Deputy Chief Executive Officer since we don't have such a position. Is there a motion to adopt the first resolution to master agreement number 2015-0139? So moved by Don, support by Liz. Any questions for Matt? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say nay. Matt, same applies to the next resolution. And again, the amendment to strike Deputy Chief Executive Officer was supported by the committee. Motion to approve, Don. And Liz supports. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say nay. The resolution is adopted. Matt, on to changes in the non-discrimination policy and a report on updates in the DPE policy.
Yep, so to provide some context for the board, we will be going into our triannual audit later this summer. In review of policies, Carmen and I sat down, took a look at several of them, and because of staff changes, primarily for the Title VI policy, we're looking for approval to make some updates. So the first one is the Title VI non-discrimination. We are required to have a Title VI officer. The current plan lists Tiffany Gunther in that role. And so the action being requested from the board is to replace Tiffany with my name as being the authorized, recognized Title VI officer from the board. The other minor changes were just more procedural updates, cleaning up the policy that was adopted back in 2016.
Is there support for the amendments to the Title VI policy? But first, let's get it on the table. Is there support? Alma moves. Tim supports. Okay, question from Don.
It just occurred to me that come July, if you're going to be either interim or officially CEO, that the CEO cannot be a Title VI officer. So come July, you'll have to revisit it.
Yeah, you're correct. We would have to revisit at that point in time.
Any other questions? It's been moved and supported to make these amendments to the Title VI non-discrimination policy. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. The amendments are adopted. And now report on updates that will be undertaken.
Yep. The second update is our DBE policy. A couple of requirements for the policy. First of all, staffing change. The DBE policy requires that we have a liaison officer, and that currently is Ben Stuka. Ben having a contract role with the RTA. We felt, both again, Carmen and I discussed, and then also in talking with Ben and his role, the DBE officer, liaison officer is one of those core functions that the FTA in particular looks at for agencies to maintain institutional control. And so we thought it's best to bring that position back in-house. And so we are proposing that Ginny Licklider be appointed as the DBE liaison. We talked at committee that would require additional training, and we also talked to the importance of that position and some of the core duties. So we will definitely, as staff, look into that in more detail. The second part of the DBE policy that will be needs to be updated. The board currently has a DBE policy from 2014 to 16. We need to revisit that every 3 years, and so and update our DBE goal. And so we are going to need to go through the formal process of updating our DBE goal to cover the period of fiscal year 2017 through 2019. It will require some outreach, which we will go ahead as staff and get that process underway. We'll need to go through a public notice process to update and notify the public if we are going to change our DBE goal. And then ultimately, it will require formal action of this board a couple of months down the road to adopt a new DBE goal. Again, that's something that will carry us through fiscal year 2019, and then we'll need to take a review of that in another year and a half or so.
So, questions for Matt on the updates that are underway? Great. That completes the Executive and Policy Committee report. Yes, Alma?
Do we currently have a FOIA officer?
Yes, we do.
I'm sorry, could you,
I was asking if we currently have a FOIA officer. I think Tiffany had that role.
Well, actually, Jenny is performing that role as well.
Okay.
Are you the designated FOIA? The answer is yes.
Yes, no, we're really covered.
We are.
Thank you.
I know they've been busy at work. Okay, that completes the Executive Policy Committee report. Tim, do you have a Finance and Budget report?
Yes, thank you. The Finance Committee actually met jointly with Planning Services. That will be handled next agenda item. But the Treasury's report we did not bring up to that committee since we didn't want to bore the rest of the members. So we decided to bring this directly to you. It's been included in your packet, the Treasury's report for April 2018. We spent $34,500. New staff changes, the good auspices of SEMCOG and sees activities, so there's basically staff and we pay for the audit. It's primarily the expenditures for April, so I would move that acceptance on the treasury report.
Tim moves acceptance of the report, and Liz supports. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say nay. The report is accepted. Thank you, Tim. Anything more from your committee? Then, on to the Planning and Service Coordination and Finance and Budget Joint Meeting. Carmen, are you going to introduce us?
So there's the memo in your agenda package that relates the activities and discussion that occurred at the joint Finance and Planning Committee meetings. At those meetings, we talked about public meetings that we had held, and we went over in general the attendance and that occurred at each one of those, and in general the level of comment that we had heard, which was primarily very, very positive. Questions, which we were in the process of responding to. We extended the comment period to early June. And what we will have for you is a specific listing of all of the comments that we've received after that deadline passes. So you'll have, you just won't be listening to it in gross terms as I'm giving it to you. You'll have the individual comments and can look at it yourself. Talked about the online survey. We've had a lot of over 1,300 responses in that regard. Still out there promoting the use of that. So there's been a lot of public comment that we've received along a lot of different ways. We're not done yet, as I indicated, but to date there's been a lot of favorable comments going forward. We talked in the memo as well, documenting some of those ongoing educational efforts that are underway, so you have that information in front of you. In addition to information about the public comment period, we also presented the financial model to the Finance Committee and the Planning Committee. This was the second time we had done this. We presented it a month earlier to the transit operators for them to review and get their comments on how this model is structured, the inputs that were being used. And again, we had some lively discussion, and we characterized a lot of questions, a lot of responses, and as we documented in the memo, there's five key points that I think the committee made that I want to see some additional work that we're in the process of doing. They wanted us to provide sensitivity testing on both the growth in the housing unit and valuation. They wanted us to sort of go back and verify the information from the county equalizers directors regarding the equalization process, to make sure that we've got that right in the model. Committee wanted to look at county by county tax capture tables. In the process of looking into that. We had a lot of discussion about the 85% revenue rebalance. There had been a resolution that had been brought to the board and had been approved that didn't include some specifics that one committee thought we ought to relook at. Things like 85% over what period of time? Over the 20-year period? Would we measure that in 5-year increments? Would we measure that in other than 5-year increments, or what would that be? And And so that was resolution 22 that the board had adopted back in 2016, and they wanted us at some point to come back and suggest that there's other aspects, nothing that was in there that was wrong, but other aspects that maybe go down to a finer grain of analysis on that information to bring back potentially before you to answer the question of is it going to be 85% every year, or how would we measure that? And so those are the things that our staff and the consultants are working on right now. There's going to be another joint committee of the on June the 7th, and I'm going to have, the hope is to have the responses to those questions, the other information for them on June the 7th. And then, Mr. Chairman, I think that is the key issues that we brought up. Any of the members of the committee, if I missed something, please correct me or add to it.
Our chair of planning.
That's right. One of the things that we've also requested was at that next joint meeting, the representatives from the providers be there so that we can hear from them. However, because we understand
yes.
we're in the process of working things out, but we'd also like to hear from them about where they see the problems.
Gotcha.
Good. Other additions to Carmen's report on the joint meeting. I will add to Carmen's report a thank you to our staff that has put in an incredible amount of time in the outreach activities around the region. The public meetings are listed, but there have been other meetings as well that they have participated in, and I think it's been a tremendous effort to get the word out on what this plan would do. The comments that Carmen reports that were received at the meetings, I think are a good summary. I was able to participate in a couple of the meetings, and I think they reflect well what at least I heard at two of those meetings, and I assume they were common themes at all of the public meetings and in our online comments as well.
We heard soup to nuts, let me tell you. People want rail, people want bus rapid transit, people want buses, people don't want to pay for anything, everything in between. Don't suppose that's a big surprise to any of you or any of us from that point.
But there were some very specific concerns about routes that we didn't include, and I am told that our consultants and planning staff are taking a good look at those comments, and I expect that there will be some revisions coming back to the plan that we asked for public comment on. John, you had?
Well, that was just what I was going to state. That was in Carmen's written report that I provided about, I think in total specifically it's like 29 questions. Some of them are multi-part. Some of them were concerned about route issues and some of the funding issues. But I was asked to submit them, which I did, and I trust that by June 7th, the information will be responded. So at the moment, I'm satisfied, just looking forward to June 7th.
See if we can keep you satisfied on June 7th as well.
One more.
Yes, John.
The other issue that we talked about was the June schedule. And I would assume, because we had, on the day that we would normally have it, there were some people who might not be able to attend.
So I'm was going to handle that on another item, but since you brought it up.
And I will.
Now is the time.
So here we are today on May 17th at the board meeting, and we decided to have a joint planning and finance committee, and after that, an FAC meeting on June the 15th instead of the 14th. There were a couple of members that we found out weren't going to be able to be there. So that was the plan going forward. We wanted to see if that would work. We realized that at the FAC meeting we have to have all 5 members there, or can't have all 5 voting in one way or another, which is what we need to have, so. Is that gonna pose a, I think we had everybody there, Liz, but I think you. Is that gonna be a problem? Do we need to find another day?
What time?
I think we're having that in the morning,
9, first in the morning, the one right after that.
so the joint planning and finance committee meeting would be at 9, and I'm hoping that doesn't go too long. I think we can schedule the FAC for 10, I think. Okay.
On the 15th.
On the 15th, yes.
Is that the issue?
That was it, right, Don?
Great.
But, you know, stay tuned.
Other questions of Carmen? Or Don? Or Freeman? Freeman, you're a chair too.
Yes, sir. I already agreed. I mean, I can make it. I'm good.
Then I'll close by also thanking Mario, the communications team. As you can see in this packet, there's been a lot of public interest in the outreach effort and quite a bit of impressive coverage of that effort, which is all to the good. And finally, to members of the public who have participated, we have a number of people here who have really worked to get the public out to our outreach meetings and comment on the plan, and we owe thanks to you too. With that, Carmen, anything more to add?
Just one thing for me, next month, I've reported to you in the past that in a supplemental appropriation, MDOT put $6 million, got that passed to advanced elderly and handicapped services in our state through the use of technology. And Monday, at the Technology Center in Ypsilanti, we've been invited, along with some other transit operators, authorities from around the state, to participate in an event where they're going to explain the rules of the grant game. How do they want us to, what are they looking for in terms of participation, in terms of a process. It appears that both SEMCOG is the MPO, along with the RTA, DDOT and SMART, AATA, and a private sector provider will need to form a team in order to develop a concept to put together a proposal to get back to MDOT onto how we see this unfolding. So we're all going to be attending that meeting. I don't know what their timing is for the grant. My understanding is they're looking to have 3 $2 million grants that will be throughout the state. We'll have, as I said, we'll have to put together a proposal to compete. And it's, the express purpose is to improve elderly and handicapped services somewhere in our region, either site-specific or region-wide, depending on how we decide to put together a proposal. So I don't have any more information other than that, other than we obviously plan on attending. This is all state money, it's not federal money, so it would not require any match. We're going to hopefully compete very strongly and bring some of that money home.
Terrific. And let's move on to Funding Allocation Committee did not meet. Public Transit Providers Advisory Council did not meet. Citizen Advisory Committee, Liz, do you want to introduce
Yes.
the subject?
I'm delighted to introduce to all of you Nick Reinhardt, who is the chair of the Citizens Advisory Committee for 2018. So we had our first CAC meeting of this I can't remember when the last one was, but this new iteration, this new set of members. of the other officers. Do you have that list?
Yeah,
Okay.
so,
I will turn it over to
Thank you,
make the
Liz.
report. Thank you.
Welcome. Congratulations.
Thank you for the introduction. So we did have our first meeting of this year on April 23rd, and we elected our officers. We also, in addition to me being elected chair, we had Kathy Mayer as vice chair. She's in the back. We had Megan Owens elected as secretary, and then Derek Holloway as the parliamentarian. Yes, so I don't have a ton to report on because it was our first meeting of the year, but I did just want to take a minute just to highlight that I think we have a really diverse group, both geographically and demographically. And there were a lot of people expressing their enthusiasm for and support for the RTA and the Connecting Southeast Michigan plan. We have members who both ride and work for SMART, DDOT, the AATA, as well as people who are involved in a variety of different organizations with disability rights, education, arts, and real estate. And a lot of people were expressing their enthusiasm because, just for example, I currently live in Ann Arbor and I work in Detroit, and I'm originally from Rochester Hills. Currently, there's no way for me to get between those places, and a lot of people expressed the exact same sentiment. That people didn't feel dependent on cars to get around, and for people who have mobility concerns or special needs, that they are dependent on others right now to get around, and this is a big opportunity for everyone to have more mobility throughout the region, and that they feel, and others who maybe don't are physically able to drive, but would definitely prefer the opportunity for other modes of transit. People like me who are interested in a more convenient commute to and from work and from other locations that they might be traveling to, and believe that it'll be a big improvement in their quality of life. We will definitely have more updates for you in the future, and I look forward to providing input into the work of the RTA. So thank you.
Thank you. Yes, Liz.
So the next meeting of the CAC was originally scheduled for Memorial Day, which we just, because we automatically scheduled, so it has been moved to this coming Monday. If anybody wishes to join us, it's a public meeting, so both members of the board, members of the public are welcome. But it's going to be at the University of Michigan Detroit Center up in Orchestra Hall in the Max Fisher Building, 3663 Woodward, right across from Whole Foods in Midtown. So, and then we'll go back to our regular schedule, fourth Monday of each month.
Thank you, Liz. Carmen, I think you gave your report, but did you have anything to add?
No, it's my report.
Is there any other new business? Yes, Don.
Did we get an update on Carmine's last month of employment by SEMCO?
I know he's counting the days.
I will officially be retired on June the 15th. Yes. From SEMCO. Yes, I have agreed to stay on in a limited capacity from now to the end of the year.
But important capacity.
And see this thing through to the end of this calendar year and see what happens after that. That's all I'm committed to at this point.
So we're not saying goodbye to Carmen, even though some kind of is.
Thank you. Thank you, Carmen.
You're welcome.
So is there a party scheduled?
Yes, there is. Yes, there is. Yes, there is.
Who needs to have a lot of lead time to participate?
I think you guys have already got your cards. It's the 13th. It's Wednesday the 13th of June, and It sounds like it's going to be a bit of a roast. It'll be fun for everybody but me.
I'm sure there's plenty to roast.
Oh, there's a lot.
We have not received anything.
Oh, you haven't?
Oh, my goodness.
Oh, there's
Yeah.
cards at the front desk. I'll
Okay.
make sure you get some, of course. They're all invited.
Don't leave without picking, they're all at the front.
They're all at the front desk.
Okay, yeah. We all should be there to enjoy the fun. Okay, yes, Liz.
I'm asked this question frequently, and I am not exactly asking for an exact answer, but I am asked frequently the timing of when the RTA is likely to take action on deciding whether or not we will be placing the ballot measure before voters for November. So can we have any kind of update in terms of how you guys are seeing the lay of the land? I know the public wants to know at least whatever, I know that there's still a lot of uncertainty around it, but any reduction in uncertainty would be greatly appreciated.
I think you asked this, somebody asked this the last time, and I certainly appreciate the question. The response, I think I gave last time, was something to the effect that we're trying to, we know the last possible day that we can put it on the ballot is a week after the primary election. So that would make it August the 14th. And we're monitoring and talking to a lot of people, trying to get the best situation that we can before we sit down as a board to get an answer to that question. So that's the 50,000 foot response. What we have currently programmed, I think I mentioned already, was that on June the 15th, we will have summary of all the comments that we've received. We will have recommendations on proposed revisions to the plan based on the analysis that's been done, the public comments that we've received. And as of today, that would be the opportunity to move this project forward. The board meeting would be the week after. And I guess not to put any, that's what's scheduled today. Will it follow suit? I think the answer is maybe. If we find that waiting longer will improve the chances, then we will bring back to you a schedule of waiting longer. I hope I'm not. If we feel that we're not making progress, and maybe the best thing to do is to take a vote on it and move on, then we'll do that too. I'm sorry I won't be more specific, but the aim is to get it approved, and we're trying to do that in the best possible way that we can.
And in the meantime, we are encouraging a continuing conversation among the leaders of the counties and the city.
There's a lot of conversations going back and forth. It's not a matter of us just sitting here and not communicating. We're constantly in communication.
Anything else? Yes, Matt.
Just got one additional item for the board. We want to introduce Ryan Tinsley. Ryan comes to us this year from the MSU Innovate Gov program. It's the 5th year that they've done the program. MSU has placed 49 different MSU students across 14 different agencies, and we were lucky enough to be one of those. And so Ryan's a senior political science major, has a strong interest in economic development, so we have him through mid-July, and definitely started Monday, and he's been a great asset so far, and so we may be hearing some of it from Ryan. So.
Welcome, and a reluctant go green. Without objection, we are adjourned. Thank you.